everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Coach Con podcast. So this is episode 35, and it's basically where I'm just over 8 weeks out from entering my first bodybuilding show. As pretty much all you guys know, I'm in prep at the moment, which is something I never thought that I'd particularly be saying. So I do want to say, just before we really get into it, I apologise if the sound isn't the best. I have had a few problems with the mic today, so we are just relying on the laptop. But hopefully I get a few points across and I'm able to kind of do a little bit of a deep dive on where I'm at, what's happening. Try not to make it drag on too long. We'll hopefully give it a little bit of insight and some fresh things today. So, yeah, like I say, just over 8 weeks out. Current body weight is around 81 kilos. When I first started prep, I was around 92. That was when I booked the show. That's when I thought, yeah, I think I can do this. In terms of improvement, the positives, it's daily. So physically, better all the time. Strength still going up, which I'll probably touch on a little bit. And in terms of the expectations, I expect this would be very hard. It has been hard at times in terms of hunger, in terms of mood, in terms of trying to still do life while all this is still ongoing. And it's probably been as hard as I thought in that sense. So in terms of physical side, energy levels are very up and down. It's a game of moments. So on a morning, it can sometimes be really, really good. So for example, taking Friday, just gone as an example, it was the thing of where full of energy, steps on the morning, got pretty much half my steps done, currently aiming for 12,000 a day, which is ticked every day regardless, very easy to do. And yeah, half of them were done. Had my first meal, had my pre-workout, thought great time to train. I was brilliant for the first half hour of the session and just had a massive dip. It was almost as if I was doing everything sort of too fast, you know. I thought maybe I've set off a bit too quick with the workout, maybe there's something like that. But no, honestly, it's just energy levels, it's part of prep. I've been very lucky to speak to a couple of friends, Josh Coulson, Josh Errington, of course, my coach as well, Kyle Bacon, who's been fantastic, and I'm sure I'll be talking about him a little bit as the episode goes on as well. And it's just trying to get on with it because, for example, when I'm filming this episode now, on the afternoon, I've been really flat all day, even having food, even having some caffeine, and now at 3:30, I'm actually really good. So, yeah, it's just a game of moments, and it's trying to think, even though I might feel flat. And when I say flat, guys, I don't mean depressed. I don't mean, lowest of the low. It's just flat. It's just mood. It's just energy. It's just struggling with bandwidth. And I'm sure that's a saying I'll come back to as the episode moves on as well. Bandwidth. So what I mean by that is, say you've got 100% to start the day. Because of prep, you may be running on 50 compared to when you're running on, say, maintenance calories and things like that, plus trying to do life and the general stresses. Of course, run a business, coaching business, still trying to show up for your clients, trying to deliver for them, deliver for your friends, your family, and being the guy that you want to be in their lives. So energy levels compared to when I first started have dipped dramatically, but at the same time, so has my body fat. I did a scan today on some scales called Tanita scales, which are apparently fairly accurately worth about $5,000. So you try and hope that they're pretty good. And that reckoned out 6.7% body fat. Now, I know I'm not that. I'm probably close to 9, 10. But when I started prep, I was comfortably sort of 15, 16. So that's quite a big difference. Probably maybe even getting towards 18, if I'm honest. So training performance, it's a bit of a miracle, really. I use my logbook, pen and paper, and strength's still on the up because I think of effort level and that session that I have on a morning in Ultraflex or an afternoon, if, life's a bit busy with work and stuff, I just know that that's my time. That's the time where I need to come in, give it everything I can, and just do my best. And give whatever I can on that day. Whatever my 100% looks like, I'll give that. And there's been no real flat sessions, I must say. Training with me pal Bill on a morning, he's brilliant in terms of pushing us, still keeping the energy going, giving us a spot, giving us some like forced reps, that kind of thing, and just encouragement. So he's been very, very important. One thing I will say is if you're going through a body transformation, trying to train with other people is very, very good. Because sometimes you might pick them up a little bit, but they'll pick you up as well. And so special sort of mention to him because he has been absolutely brilliant throughout this. And recovery is still very good in terms of sleep. I'm prioritising that. Last night I was in bed for 5:15 because, I'm lucky as well that my life aligns where I'm able to do that pretty much every day, depending on work and commitments. If 9 times out of 10 I'm able to do that, if I'm tired, I can get settled down, I can get in that sort of sleep environment, I can practice sort of the sleep hygiene, get the telly off early, get off my phone, turn my phone off. That's something that I'm kind of getting bad for in a way that I have pissed a couple of people off that's trying to get in contact with us because I actually am physically switching my phone off, which I've never done before. But it's just to set a boundary. It's not because I don't want to be unreachable in a way. It's just I kind of need that headspace to switch off. And moving on to hunger, that's something important. It comes in waves, and usually it's not a specific craving for anything. It's sometimes, so even like today, I change my meals around just so I could get sort of carbs out the way, and then my lower carb meals later in the day, which is pretty much how my meal plan runs anyway. But it was just a thing of like delaying, like I needed my energy earlier in the day for getting the steps done and everything like that. So some of them lower carb meals later in the day has helped. And to be fair, as soon as I've had them, I'm fine again, and timing in terms of hunger, I am trying to eat sort of every 3 to 4 hours, but sometimes it'll be the thing if the hunger will come in after maybe an hour, half an hour. So it's trying to delay that, but trying to be smart with it. So rather than smashing sort of the Red Bulls and the energy drinks and things like that, I've tried to switch to black coffee with just a little bit of stevia in there. That's been going pretty well. And, that helps with hunger. Just having like a black tea, an Earl Grey, even things like that, just a hot drink, something filling. Just sometimes it's dehydration. So when you've got a high output, the 12,000 steps, the 50 minutes of cardio 5 days a week, the 5 days of weights, the reformer Pilates, which I've been doing once a week to help with flexibility and recovery, it is so important to be hydrating, getting the electrolytes. A little splash of squash in there isn't harming us either. And it's when I'm hungry as well, it's deciding what's physical in terms of like I must have something. So like a real hunger versus like a hedonic sort of psychological hunger where it's like, I think I might want something. It's just trying to break that up. So if I'm getting the hunger and I'm not due to eat, it's maybe getting a few steps in, distract myself, then seeing if it goes away. 9 times out of 10, it does. So cardio is something that, of course, is very important. I've touched on already. Now, my steps on a morning are fasted. I try and get maybe up to a third of the steps done, so maybe 4,000 on a morning, sometimes a few more, if the time's there, before training. If I've had a good night's sleep, I feel good, I'll get up and get them done straight away on a morning. So, and it just gets things done. In terms of mental challenge of cardio, there's not too much there. I just know it needs doing. I don't want to end up banking cardio where, I maybe say, I'll just do half an hour now, or I'll do the extra 20 minutes tomorrow on top of my 50, or you're moving cardio to rest days. I've not done that. I'm following everything as strict as I can. Cardio's part of the routine. It'll be weights, then the proper cardio session. Steps in and around that, steps after meals. And try and make it as good as I can. The steps sharp rack up, and trying to just have a little bit of movement after your meals as well is going to be vital in terms of helping digestion. And it just, again, with the steps, making it part of everyday life. And one thing I've tried to do in the morning is just keep off my phone a little bit. So you guys might have noticed I will do an update on the story first thing. Now, I'll tend to put that update on about maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock. It's actually from 5 till sort of 5:30, 6, so I maybe come at the end of steps. The first block of steps of the day, I do keep my phone off, or I'll still have it on sort of aeroplane mode or something like that, or power saver, where I've got, say, just Audible on there or YouTube. And in terms of what I listen to, Audible has been really good. I've been listening to the full cast editions of Harry Potter. That's been really good on the morning. But also, I am a Christian, and one thing I've been doing a little bit more is talking to God on the morning. Morning prayers when I'm out for a walk, being thankful, trying to practice a lot more gratitude. I do feel that I'm on the right path for what I'm doing in terms of bodybuilding, my physique journey, the content I'm putting out, even things like that. You know, I kind of feel like things are aligning, and I've got to give some gratitude for that. So I do sort of say my prayers in the morning as well, just as I'm out and about. I'll often listen to a little bit of Bible study on YouTube as well, just Psalms, readings. And that just helps me align for the day, and especially if I'm a little bit stressed, a little bit tired, a little bit fatigued, I do find that has really helped. And maybe some people kind of laugh at that, and I don't care. You know, at the moment I feel, I don't want to say I feel spiritual, I don't really like that sort of thing, but I am just trying to practice a bit more gratitude, being thankful to the Lord for the path I'm on and what I'm doing. And that's been a really important part of prep. Certainly in terms of keep my head on straight, because I have prayed for patience. I've prayed for trying to just keep my head on, and that thing of prep is a choice. It's been a privilege to do, to be a part of, to continue to do. And with that as well, it's been the thing of making sure I don't drag people into this. So I'll probably come to this a little bit more as the episode rolls on, but just about mood. You know, if I'm in a bad mood, in the sense of maybe I'm a little bit hungry, a little bit flat, a little bit tired, I don't want to drag people into it. And one thing I've kind of done, which I shouldn't have done, I've had to have a couple of conversations around this with some close people lately. I have pushed people away, and that's not in the sense of I've sworn at them and said leave me alone, but I've put walls up. I've put myself in a bubble. I have kept people away, and I've had to apologise for that because people have noticed. And it's not been the thing of being nasty to anyone directly. I've not blocked anyone. I've not consciously ignored calls and things like that. I've just put some walls up to try and protect people. And I am going to get into this a little bit more because it is something that needs addressing, something I need to kind of apologise for a little bit as well and be accountable to. And prep kind of becomes identity, and this is something I was warned about from my pal Matt about maybe 6 weeks ago, and he put it quite brutally, but he just says your tolerance will go down for people, for things, for life. And I was like, no, that's not me. You know, I'm big cuddly con. I'm everyone's mate, and at the minute I'm not that guy. I know it'll come back. I know that when things like food go up, say when I'm back to maintenance or enter a gain phase or come out of prep or get in the run up to the ultra, I think things will be better again. But at the minute, I don't want to say I'm not myself, but I have kind of locked myself away a little bit and tried to protect people by ignoring them. And as I say, we will get into that probably a little bit more as it goes on. But so just touching there, actually, to be fair, I can go on to it now, really, guys. You know, talk about the focus, and you just have less tolerance. And in a way, that's been something good, because in terms of, you know, I don't want to say a tolerance for sort of nonsense and things like that, or a tolerance for rubbish, but it has actually taught me to set some boundaries. You know, if there's things going on that I don't want to be a part of, a lot of the time I've just said yes, just for peace and going along with things and that kind of thing. It's very hard to think of an example, and I'm not trying to, you know, say anything I shouldn't in regards to this, but the best wrap point is just the social bandwidth drops, and it's kind of been the thing of, rather than sitting in a pub for 3 hours with a Diet Coke or something like that, which means you can stick to plan and that kind of thing, I just haven't the bandwidth for it. It's maybe going out for maybe half an hour or meeting up with friends for a walk instead, rather than, you know, just sitting around and things like that. And it's not because I don't want to enjoy that. It's just I don't want to be the guy that's irritable, in a bad mood, bringing the group down. I don't want to have any aggression coming out from dieting or anything like that. Not that I've exactly had that, but it's just a funny one to explain. And I'm trying to put this podcast and video in a way that, for anyone that's gone through prep, they'll understand what I'm saying. Anyone that hasn't, I kind of want them to be able to understand in case it's something they ever want to do. And I'm not saying that you lose empathy or anything like that, but things just go down, you know. I mean, for this podcast, I'll be honest, earlier today I knew it needed doing. The podcast is non-negotiable. Every Monday I will post a podcast, whether I'm on my own or with a guest. And I just thought, I really can't be bothered to record this. I can't do it. You know, I had a bit of a, you know, I've of course got my bullet point notes, which I'm just kind of riffing on at the moment. But suddenly I've had a little bit of food, energy feels good, and it's like it's like I'm 14 weeks out again, not sort of 8 weeks, and it's very strange, and you just kind of have to get on with it. Which brings us nicely into what prep's teaching us, and as I touched on there, it's taught me about boundaries. Therapy is something that I've gone to for the last 13 months, and that's been incredible, with helping me set boundaries to prioritise myself a little bit more, and overall be kind to myself, and not kind of keep wanting the next thing and the next thing and chasing the next mountain, as my therapist tells me. But it has taught me, a little bit more about consistency, having respect for a routine, even though I've always been very organised. Everything's in a calendar, it's set up, it's sorted. It's taught me more resilience. I've never really struggled with that, but this is the thing of where this is for weeks, prep is for weeks. It's not just you're in and out of it in a couple of days, It's not just like a half marathon where you have to maybe lock in for a couple of hours or so. And you're in a group maybe, and even if you don't know anyone at the half marathon, you kind of get in with people, and people keep you going, push you, and you'll have your aid stations. Prep is like long drawn out, and it is a very hard road. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. I knew it would be, and I've been very lucky to have some incredible support. I do need to sort of take this time as well to give a mention to my mum, who's been very, very good in terms of being supportive and cheering us on. Of course, she doesn't sort of agree with everything in a way, targeting the low body fat, and in terms of course, things like, your supplementation, and, even just the amount of things you take day to day, even just on the health front, you're taking your omegas, you're taking your multivitamins, you're taking your, I take things as well, just in general for like cholesterol and that kind of thing, just to make sure everything's in the right place. And she kind of maybe doesn't get it, but she is supportive of it. And, Ultraflex Durham as well has been incredible. The people in there, the guys I see every day, Mark, Josh, Kyle, Bill, everyone in there. It's such a great environment. I've been very lucky to have that. There's a massive list that I need to kind of rail off once prep's over as a bit of a thank you. There's a lot of people I would say owe a pint now, but probably owe a scoop of pre-workout too, in there, because they have been exceptional with me. And one thing I have learned is, not that I ever thought I was unpopular or didn't have friends, I've never been like that, but I have learned that a lot of people are backing me with this, and I've probably got a few more friends than I realise in a way, and I've had some incredible support, and I do really just want to touch on that as something I've learned. Something I do want to say as well on the flip side is something that people get wrong about prep, and I was probably guilty of this as well. I was definitely guilty of a few of these things I've listed here. So thinking that it's all about training, you're never going to out-train a bad diet, regardless of, what you're doing and the rest of your routine. It's not just about your training. Your training is maybe an hour to an hour and a half of your day. Even if you count your steps and your cardio, it's a few hours of your day. It's 4 hours or so, maybe, something like that, including maybe all your steps and that kind of thing. Underestimating posing and displaying your physique. From where I did my first posing lesson with Emma to doing it now, it's like night and day. It's like I've added 10 pounds of muscle to my physique just off the pictures. And it has nothing to do with the fact I've actually added muscle. It's literally just learn how to display your hard work, display what you've got, and the time commitment as well. To get to the point now where I'm feeling pretty ready, I feel pretty good, but there's still 2 months of this to go. So it's motivation doesn't carry you, it's the routine that does. And something else that I think I was probably a little bit guilty of is thinking it's all about suffering, it's all about the grind, bro. It's all about the hunger, it's all about the sort of training intensity, everything like that, and the diet fatigue, and it's not. You can still enjoy life. I've still been able to go out for food, albeit take probably my own food with me, or I'm maybe just going out and just having, like, as I say, a Diet Coke, something like that, while other people are ordering. But I'm still being able to be sociable. I can still go out in the sense of if I want to go to the Metro Centre, that counts as being sociable. I can get my steps in. Things like that. You can still have a life. You can go to the cinema. You just don't have the popcorn, the sweets. You have your water or whatever. It's not all about suffering. It really isn't. I think a lot of that kind of gets glamorized a little bit on Instagram, and I probably will touch on this word a little bit later. But one thing I want to say, like sacrifice, and yes, yeah, you maybe do sacrifice nights out, but at the end of the day, I booked this show when I was 29-year-old. Like, I'm 30 now. The nights out and stuff is kind of a thing of the past. In my social circle, I've changed. I'm not saying I've kind of swapped people or changed people, but a lot of my circle, in particular my pals, like Cameron and Jack and Ryan and things like that, we've kind of had all those days of going out and getting on the drink and things like that. Now we do kind of meet up for walks and just go for a coffee, or maybe go at the Metro and hang out there or whatever. It's go bowling or go at the cinema and have a walk, and it's just different. We kind of got it all out of our system in a way. So the one thing that I would say is days are repetitive. It is day to day. It's literally wake up at 5, get the steps in, first meal, pre-workout, train, cardio, more steps, meal prep, a little bit of pause and practice, and then you kind of fit your working around that. One thing I'm determined to try and do and still do is the fun family fitness thing that I say a lot, where I will prioritise those things and then try and get work in around that. And sometimes it's not always possible, and I do have a great commitment to clients. I do get people in where I can still for PT. The online folks that still do a bit of work with me in person. I'm very committed still to my job and that kind of thing. I'm not sacrificing work or anything like that for what I'm doing. And I made sure that I had things set up and in a good spot where I was able to do these things. So touching on the nasty word sacrifices, I don't like when people glamorise prep in the sense of they sacrifice and things like that. It really isn't. Eating differently from other people at the table or just having a Diet Coke isn't a big deal. The social events you can still go to within reason. I mean, for me, I wouldn't be going out at midnight till midnight anyway, regardless of prep. I wouldn't be going out in the session Durham anyway, regardless of prep. So it's not been a sacrifice. Yes, you maybe can't sit and have burgers and chips and pizzas and that kind of thing with your friends, but you can still go out. You're not missing out, I've still been able to do some nice things while still in prep. And it is chosen and it's a privilege. And that's just one thing that I want to say. This hasn't been a sacrifice. Yes, I've still got 2 months to go. Yes, some people are maybe thinking, he's saying nothing yet. Well, like I say, I think, as Kyle was saying to me, and as to be honest, when I'm kind to myself and I look in the mirror, I go, you know what, Con, the hard part's done. A lot of the body fat's gone. It's literally the last 6-7 pound maybe. And to lose that in just over 8 weeks is not the end of the world. So in terms of some surprises, what was harder than expected, someone asked the other day. And in a way, I don't want to say how easy this has been, but I think it's been the thing of the amount of time you do spend exercising. So the way my cardio and steps ran yesterday, it was 250 minutes of exercise, counting train and everything else, according to the mighty Samsung watch, which is like a lot. That's like crazy. That's like 4 hours, 10 minutes of exercise. So to be doing something like that is sort of one of those things where you're like, wow, I didn't realise the time commitment. But I am enjoying it. I am getting on with it. And what's been easier than expected on the other end is I have enjoyed it. I haven't seen it once as a sacrifice, and it's been really good. And the process with this is everything matters a lot. Your food, your steps, your training intensity, and who you surround yourself with is so important. Environment matters, and that is a massive lesson. And your consistency is vital. But one thing to think, and what I think is your progress does happen very slowly, but the more disciplined you are, the more confidence you get. I've felt some days 10 foot tall just with this. I have felt a lot better in myself. I've found some confidence. In terms of body confidence, that has gotten a lot better as prep's gone on, and I'm seeing the changes and I'm getting the feedback, and it is very, very good. And on the coaching side, I do feel prep has helped me be a better coach, because I think when you can go through a prep, you come and add things from a little bit more discipline in terms of an angle. And it's leading by example. The one thing that Ben Coomber taught me years ago was walking the talk. That was something that he said, and I don't think it gets much bigger than doing a prep. So, the next 8 weeks, because I'm not wanting to go on too long with this one, guys, today. I want to say, the next 8 weeks. It's just chipping away. It's rinsing and repeating. Once a week now, we are having a carb up, so it's literally just doubling my carb sources every day. 1 day a week, sorry, doubling the carb sources 1 day a week on the Sunday at the moment, which has just helped me keep muscle, keep the glycogen, keep the energy, and that has helped. And it's just refining it, not overhauling it. And honestly, the reason I wanted to do this was to prove I can do it. Something that was said to me a while back was, if you can do an ultra, you can do a prep. And I was like, really? A prep? And it just made me believe in myself. And I am believing in myself, and I do believe that if I'm doing this, other people can do this. And that's not that you should, but if you haven't the commitments of, say, kids and that kind of thing, because kids are always going to come first. I don't think I'd be doing this if I was a dad, and I certainly think that's the reason bodybuilding is like a short career. My future plans, I've been chucking some ideas around with Kyle. The idea is to place at the first timers. Of course, we're prepping to win. Qualify for the Universe, which nicely falls a week later. That would be fantastic. And then I'm hoping we can maybe find a show the following week. There's actually the NABA Northwest, which I looked at today. And there is, I believe, one in Liverpool. So it'd be nice to maybe keep the party going and do one more show. And then whatever feedback the judges give, perhaps work with that. Maybe do a proper off-season where I can go back and enjoy, I don't want to say enjoying life a bit more, because I've still enjoyed life, but just to maybe see what muscle mass can be gained, make sure I'm healthy, enjoying life, still going out for food and stuff again, and living, focus on the business, getting some energy back, and then moving forward, seeing what happens from there. And someone asked the other day a great question, what success to me actually means with this. And yes, I want to win. Yes, I want to do well. I want to do myself proud, my family proud, Kyle proud. But simply turning up, knowing I've done my best, which is exactly what's going to happen. And 8 weeks from now, I'll either step on stage knowing I gave it everything, or wishing that I had. And every choice I make every day between now and that 8 weeks is what happens between now and then. So, guys, as always, thank you very much for listening, watching, whatever you're doing, whether you're YouTube, Spotify. I appreciate you. Big love. Any questions, drop them in the comments below. Reach out to me on Instagram at Ashton Online Coaching for coaching. Questions, having a bit crack, whatever you'd like to do. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.